Hey, everybody, welcome to the Monday night edition of The People Show with your host and facilitator here, Mark Wallace. And again, it is Monday, April. Where am I going with April? Monday, July the 28th. And there is a whole host of issues that we have to talk about here. Looks like my camera is off here. Oh, what happened there? So, um, boy, something has happened. Okay, folks, excuse me. We got to make sure this stuff is all connected properly. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. We are back with you on the Monday night edition of the People Show. Okay. Uh, we have so much that we have to talk about today. And of course, my co host for the hour is here with me. He is retired journalist Monroe Anderson, who was the former press secretary for the late Mayor Eugene Sawyer. Monroe, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic in this whirlwind of news that is happening with us now. As you know, it's kind of hard to prepare for a show with the time warp speed of events
Right.
that are taking place. Right?
Right. It's like a fire hose with
Yes.
a supercharge of all sorts of news stories and issues.
Yeah. Yeah. What do they say? Like drinking from a fire hose.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we had the guy out in Michigan this week stabbing 11 people at a Walmart.
Yeah.
And then we just had reported from New York City an active shooter that shot and killed one other person, which was believed to be a police officer there. And it was just in Manhattan, and it just was reported that he is dead from a self-inflicted gunshot.
Right.
So just a whirlwind of things that are going on.
We've had plane incidents for those of us who fly that we got to be concerned about, and mainly we got Trump.
Yeah,
Who is
that's a
like
fire hose in and of itself.
exactly, exactly.
It's a fire hose in and of itself.
And,
There's been a lot of talk about whether or not we Democrats, and I always like to disclose that I am a Democrat, um, that that the Democrats have to be careful, and they're talking about the Democrats. They're talking about obviously the Democrats, the establishment has to be careful in not overplaying the Jeffrey Epstein situation. And I got to thinking about that, and I was like, um, we can walk and chew gum at the same time,
right. And not
and
only that,
we
but yeah, the Republicans overplay stuff that's not even true. You know,
yeah,
we know Epstein had a child prostitution ring going on. We know that. We know he's dead, and we know things about him. Uh, we know that the high and mighty in this country, some men, have some degree of involvement in this. We don't know what, but we know that the Republicans, via QAnon, were very interested in this. And Trump said he was too. But now he's not interested in it, but uh, the far right Republicans still are.
Well, let me ask you this, and certainly we're going to get into different aspects of this because I think it's critically important. You and I were talking about this before earlier last week. We were talking about it, and um, at that time it was something was you know new threads were coming out every day
Right,
related to this. And I would imagine that that is going to happen for the foreseeable future when you start talking about the thousands of people who were involved or certainly impacted by this. There's got to be a whole spool of threads of things that will be revealed to us related to this situation. But I know that this was being played big time by the Republicans and by those people who, the QAnons and the conspiracy theorists, all of these people who were playing this. And then, of course, Donald Trump picking it up because that's what his base was talking about.
right.
But on the other side of this, do you think it didn't happen, and I don't know why? Do you think that if the Democrats would have released these files when they were in power, not the grand jury because that's in secrecy, that can't be done, but the files, the millions of pages of files, I'm sorry, the million pages of within the file that can be released, if they
Yeah.
had released this when they were in power, we could be seeing a very different administration now.
I don't know. I don't think so. First of all, a lot of it, the Democrats didn't know what was in it.
No, they
And
didn't know what was in it, but the Republicans and the QAnon folks, but the Epstein situation was real.
yeah,
Epstein was arrested. Epstein was indicted and convicted under the Trump administration.
yeah, yeah,
So and then of course Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested and indicted and convicted under the Biden administration.
right.
Don't you think that if the Biden administration would have released those files to the public so that the public would be aware of whoever was involved? I don't care
Well,
who was involved, whether you're a Democrat or
okay,
you're a
couple of
Republican
things.
or whatever.
Yeah, first of all, um, if the Democrats had released it, then the Republicans would have said it was all fake news and rigged, and it wouldn't have worked in the Democrats' favor because the Republicans have made such a big deal out of the Democrats doing it, and they would have said it was false because in their mind, in their rumors, in their conspiracies, it was a Democratic cabal. Democrats were were turning children into prostitutes. They were eating children, pedophiles. They were doing these rumors had Democrats doing all these things, and so that would have been considered a cover up. What's interesting and what we have now is that okay, for all these years, the Republicans, the right wing, have been had they had this giant evil among Democrats going on. Hillary's supposed to be a part of it. Remember the in D.C. where she was supposedly had all this horrible stuff going on. The guy went in and shot up a place as a result of it. Obama was supposed to be a part of it. It was all Democratic. And so if the Democrats had released it, it would have been that they were trying to protect themselves and hide it. And this would confirm it in their minds. Uh, because Trump's people, two of them who were really Cash, who's head of the FBI now, and Bonajovi, the um, F, the
Bongino.
Bongino, I'm probably not his name, Bongino, who's now the number two guy there. uh, They've been pushing these rumors and conspiracies for years to uh, hundreds of thousands of followers, and they get there, and then suddenly they find out that it's not true as they pushed it. And so they say, never mind, don't look. And then you get Bondi, who is supposed to be have a list of all the people on it. She announced that. Now she doesn't know. She doesn't have a list. There's nothing going on. There's basically nothing to see here. The far right activists are pissed off at them and accusing them of being part of the deep state now. This is how deeply felt and believed this is among right wing people. So the Democrats, if the Democrats had done it, it would have just been okay. There it is. We knew it was coming. Um, Even with their people saying that it's nothing there or not wanting to release it, they believe that there is something there, and of course there is. Um, Basically, it's the rich and powerful and wealthy doing whatever they want to. The laws don't apply to them like they do to the two of us, for example. And so things are all twisted and confused right now.
Well, I want to push back just a little bit because I think that if if the conspiracy theorists,
Yeah,
they were pushing for this to be released. They wanted it to be released.
right.
If they were pushing for it to be released and they
Yeah,
were talking about it being released,
yeah,
and the Democrats said, okay, let's just release it.
yeah,
You're talking about the New York um, Department of Justice. You're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of agents
yeah.
poring over hundreds of thousands of pieces of evidence and information with names of people who were associated with Epstein and whatever in this file that um, it would be very hard for them to now to try to dismiss this as being some type of hoax that is not true, especially because they were the ones who were pushing it.
But the
Epstein
fact, yeah,
was indicted, convicted,
yeah,
uh, died by suicide.
right.
Um, I don't know how. I don't even know how that would fly in the face of them saying that. Okay, well, we were calling for it to be released. You released it, but we don't believe what's there.
Right. Because what they would say is that Biden and the Democrats rigged it. They changed the rules, and they changed the names on the list. They removed all the Democrats that were really responsible for it and tried to blame the Republicans. Well, what you have to look back on is the Republicans, the MAGA people, have been rewriting January 6th to the point where it was a friendly protest. One version of it, another version that it was actually Antifa and the Black Panthers that were rioting, not MAGA people at the Capitol. mean, what they do is they just put out lies. They lie, they change the story, they lie. And if you're a true conspiracist, which a lot of these people are, then unless the conspiracy fits exactly what you come to believe it to be, you're not going to believe it. And so, and this is the problem Trump is having now, because he was, of course, encouraging these rumors and conspiracies. But now that it's becoming obvious that he was there at the party, we don't know how active he was. We don't know if he was screwing around with 14-year-old girls or not. Although I won't be surprised if that comes out. But anyway, so now uh, what some of them are saying is that they've become part of the deep state. Trump and Nash all have become part of the deep state.
Well, let me ask you this. I've been trying to understand what the definition of the deep state is. What is the deep state?
The real deep state are the one that the right wingers believe in. They're two completely different things.
Okay,
Okay, the
well,
real
give us
deep
the real
state,
deep state.
the real, the real deep state was founded in 1779, and it is the U.S. government and the people that they work and make the country run. The deep state, according to QAnon and the MAGA people or what have you, is this evil cabal that's taken over the government and uh, is doing all this stuff to make white people endangered and insignificant.
Okay.
And this is why they're upset that they don't have these names. Bill Clinton is probably involved in this. I'm going to be surprised if he isn't. Uh, and they expected him to be on it. They wanted him to be on it because they hate the Clintons.
hmm
So, so he would have been one. They hate Obama. You know what's interesting with Obama is when Obama was president, the one of the biggest um, scandals that he had was wearing the tan suit. You remember that?
Yes, I do. I remember the
Uh,
tan suit.
that, was, that was the biggest thing. You compare that with all the Trump scandals, yeah, and
Yeah.
that wouldn't even show up on the Richter scale at all, and it shouldn't have.
Well, I think that uh, there's a tax for certainly um, for black skin. There's a
Yeah,
certain tax for black skin, no matter where you are, no matter what your level of position is. There's just a certain, uh, it's even with crime is that if a black person commits the same crime that a white person commits, that same crime is viewed differently from the black person that have committed it to the white person that's committed it.
right.
So, you know, but to your point that that Donald Trump and his sycophants, which seem to be sort of, you know, coming unhinged. And maybe some of the people that we may have thought that were MAGA, maybe they were not MAGAs at all. Maybe these were people who were just anti-elitist, and that they have come to realize and to understand, much to my dismay as to how they didn't understand it before, that the man that they thought was their representative to
Yeah.
be against the anti-elite is an elite.
Oh, yeah. No, he lied to him. Fox lied to him. I mean, people have been lying to them for 10 years. And because they were the type of lies they wanted to hear, they went along with it and embraced them. And that has worked up until now with um, Epstein. And the problem there is that now that Trump's in charge, he suddenly lost interest in the story. And he has Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, who is his flunky. And so they go so far to try and hide this that they cut off Congress. He sends everybody home a day early before all the business could be done. That's how desperate they are to try it. And they're hoping they won't be back for 6 weeks. And so what they're hoping is that in that time everything will be cooled down. So when Congress get back, people will want to talk about something besides the.
Well, it seems like he's losing. He's certainly losing a little bit or some of his alliance of those same people. Mike Johnson on Meet the Press, was it? Well, Meet the Press or CBS.
Yeah, one of the
Um,
Sunday news shows. Yeah,
one of the morning shows,
yeah,
uh, emphatically said that there should not be any pardon, and that what Ghislaine Maxwell was involved with, that she should have gotten life in prison.
yeah,
He certainly said that she should at the very least serve her entire sentence. There should not be any pardon whatsoever. I mean, he was pretty. That was a completely break away from what Trump was, speaking of, that he
right,
might consider a pardon.
right. Well, see, this is the old caught between a brick and a hard place situation the Republicans find themselves in, for Republican politicians from Washington, in that this whole scandal has been the holy grail for MAGA and QAnon and all these people, and it was going to be like Jesus returned to Earth when when they got their hands on this information, because it was going to show how evil the Democrats were and all these horrible things they had done. It's going to be documentation of it. Now, then Trump gets back in charge. Republicans are in charge. Uh, they have the files available to them, and now they're saying nothing's in it. And that was and Bondi, if you remember, 3 weeks ago, was saying she had the files on her desk and she had the list in there.
Yeah.
And then
Well, first of
she
all,
makes about face and says she doesn't have
well,
any.
when she first of all when she spoke about this, the first time she even said that, I was like, there's no possible way that she could have the files on her desk. The voluminous of files would take up an entire room
Yeah.
in the first place, so she couldn't possibly have them on her desk.
Well, she could have had the
um,
kids notebook version.
yeah. So, but look, I mean, what what I don't care. I think the files should be released, and whoever was involved with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein in molesting children, because that's what this was.
Yes.
They trafficked children to molest them.
Yeah.
Ghislaine Maxwell, well, in fact, one of the victims 3 months ago died by suicide.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
happen to think that Ghislaine Maxwell, and this was one person who said that Ghislaine Maxwell fondled her while she was in bed with Jeffrey Epstein. I
Oh
think
no, they
that Ghislaine Maxwell,
yeah, they were doing
well,
threesomes. They were doing
well,
they,
I think she
they were
should be.
doing
I think she should be now brought up on second degree second degree murder or manslaughter of some sort, because this woman took her life that she was not ever able to get beyond this.
yeah. I don't know if that's
I mean,
legal. I don't think that's legally possible. But she, first of all, she should have got more
well,
time than she got. But what the real problem is right now is that Trump and his former personal lawyer, who just met with her a couple of days ago, twice, 2 days in a row, um, they're setting it up where he can pardon her. So she's gonna get a get out of jail free card before it's over at the rate they're going.
yeah, I don't see. I see him teasing and talking about this, but I
Uh,
think that if he were to pardon her, I think that that would just completely bring him unhinged with his supporters. To that, you're going to allow for a child molester to go
yeah,
free.
yeah. Well, that's why that's why they're trying to make up the story now, fashion the story. You know, there's talk of her being a victim now, being framed because he can't frame her. I mean, he can't parole her, pardon her without her being a victim. You know, it's the same way
No,
they
he can't pardon her without her acknowledging that she did it. You can't get a pardon unless you acknowledge that you did
president
whatever
can,
the offense was that you
as
were being.
president, he can just do it. He's omnipotent, and that's
No, I,
even
I understand that.
yeah. So he can just say, "Your pardon. You have a presidential pardon. Get out of here," and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I
There are
yeah I
political
find that
that he would
yeah
have right now. But what they're doing is they're making up the story, the narrative right now, where she was sort of there, but she too was manipulated and fooled by that evil man Epstein, and that she really didn't mean to do it. She's under his terrible spell, and that's why it happened. And that she told him some important information. Uh, I don't know what that information, how they're going to claim that the information happened, and why that changes her from being an accomplice. But they're going to
yeah that
try.
would be that would be.
I don't think it's going to work, but who knows on that. But if it
I,
does,
I don't think it's going to work at all. What you have to remember is that there were thousands of people who were involved in this investigation. The
and they're firing them,
the
Comey's
assistant.
daughter fired. For example, she was the main prosecutor
Well, she was the
for
main
the stuff.
prosecutor, but there were several other agents that
Yeah,
know
they're
this
not.
evidence through
Yeah,
and through, right?
right. Yeah, they're not
Um,
on. But he's, what he has put his people in position of powers where they can make it go away or eliminate it. You know, that's they did that with the
Well, no,
Moors.
yeah,
Trump,
that means that they would have to get rid of agencies in New York of investigation, which means that they would be completely eliminating um, entire offices
yeah,
of FBI investigators.
yeah,
I don't listen. I think that anything can come by this administration,
yeah,
and this criminal in chief that we have as a president. He is
yeah.
a convicted felon, so that I don't
Right.
put anything past him.
He's
Uh,
immoral too. He's an
uh,
immoral man, and he
yeah,
has no standards. Anything, he will do that. That's what that's what they're working on right now.
I think that it's going to ultimately blow up in their face. I think that if they were to do this,
Yeah.
if they were to do this, because I don't think that they can figure out any pathway to do this that they could get away with it or that it would make sense. I think it would blow up in their face, and the very people who supported them would come out in droves uh, to to protest them. I mean, they're already doing it. I mean, you're
Yeah,
talking
there be
about Joe
protesting.
Rogan
Yeah.
and these people who have these large platforms
Right.
are are coming at him very hard.
Right.
I think it would just be. I think it would blow up in his face, and I don't think that I don't think that he. Um, I don't think that he would do that.
Because
What I do think is that there
I
may
think
be
he's gonna try it.
somebody.
I
There
think
may
he's
be.
gonna try it. We'll see. I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna try it. I don't like you. I suspect that it won't work, but it's gonna hurt him. But you gotta remember, he thinks he's the Teflon Don, and that if you lie hard enough and long enough, people will believe it, and that's worked for him. I mean, remember uh, the election was stolen from him. He actually won it, but it was stolen from him. Uh, he's now saying Obama. This is part of his distraction campaign, but he's saying that Obama committed treason. There's no
Mhm.
evidence that it didn't happen, but that's one of the things. Uh, this is 1984, all over in real life, where war is peace and good is bad. You have these reverse meanings that you tell the people and they believe, and that's
Yeah,
what they're
this
yeah,
is almost a form of Watergate,
yeah,
of Richard Nixon creating this cabal and trying to figure out how to eliminate it.
right, right,
The only difference were that there were people who um, were Republicans that were able to come to Richard Nixon and say the jig is up.
right.
That doesn't exist here.
No, no,
That doesn't exist here.
right, no. If,
Um,
if everybody wants power in the Republicans, this is what this is about. Is just power. So
but on the flip side of that,
yeah,
the question was posed to Trump in his ridiculous accusation that would Obama be would he receive the same protections of immunity under the Supreme Court's recent ruling by giving him immunity? And of course,
yeah.
he said, "Yeah, I think it would be."
Who
Uh,
who
but but the other
Trump?
side of that is his other people don't have immunity,
Right.
who would
No,
be
and
his co-conspirators.
Trump, the Trump gang are basically saying that, yeah, Trump would have it, but Obama wouldn't have it. I mean, what they are so hypocritical that they have two sets of rules, uh, where if it's one of them, then okay, it's it's not bad, or they didn't do it, or whatever. And if it's a Democrat or somebody they don't like, then they're the worst human beings in the world, and they should be shot at dawn, executed at dawn. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing how crazy this thing is right now. But I think my personal opinion is that the gig is up. Uh, Trump is a lame duck walking right now. He's losing his powers. He's going to be losing his people, and all these lies and horrible things that he has done and is doing, we're going to catch up with him. Uh, he's going to be.
So, are you saying that some of his people, we could be seeing some people who would realize that they could be under the threat of being criminally charged, and they would start to resign their positions?
No, it's not his. Not the people he hired, not the department heads and what have you. I'm talking about the Republican politicians, the congressmen and the senators who have the power. Now,
Mhm.
what's probably, I have this, and this is one of my let me go out on a limb thing, but I have this theory that's been developing in my head that what they're going to do is get rid of Trump, use the 25th Amendment, and say that he's incompetent and mentally incompetent, and therefore he needs to be replaced with da 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 drum roll J.D. Vance, and that will keep them in power, and that'll get Trump out of the way, who none of them like. Trump is not a likable man. And none of these politicians who are quaking and shaking, the Republicans, like him. But he's he's a very vicious man, and he has a lot of power, and he's not afraid to use it. And so that's what they're
Yeah,
afraid
it is. Yeah, it's rather amazing to me how he is able to wield such intimidation on educational institutions, um,
media companies.
media companies, CBS, Paramount, which we now know was a bribe rather than a settlement for
Right.
in order for them to complete this merger.
With
And the merger is confirmed less than 1 week of the cancellation of Stephen Colbert's program, who was the one who called it a big fat bribe. Uh,
right, right,
and
and he's
so,
Trump's staunchest candidate for the longest. I mean, he's been going on every night just criticizing Trump. So Trump hates him, and Trump has
right.
got revenge. Did you see the South Park episode called
Yeah.
Mountain
Well, I didn't
Summer?
see the episode, but um, I saw the clips
You
that
should
they had run
you should check
about it.
it out. It's incredible. It is so. First of all, it's so sacrilegious. It's like, I mean, it's just incredible. Jesus shows up at the South Park Elementary School, and
Yes.
then they have a big fight about religion and government. And because Jesus showed up there, then the school was letting religion into the schools. But in the meantime, they have, and so they need Trump, the almighty power on earth, to settle it. And so then they cut to, it's a cartoon. But anyway, they cut to Trump in bed with the devil, with Satan. And Trump doesn't have any clothes on. And so he has a micro penis, the character. I mean, it is so wild. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You see the
Uh,
whole, only half an hour. You should, you can see it. I'm sure
what is it on?
it's
What is it
this
on
Comedy
CBS Paramount,
Central. Yeah,
Comedy Central?
Comedy Central. Oh yeah, no, it's not on CBS. It's Comedy Central, but you can you can also see it through Peacock, I think, which is
Okay, I'll have to do that because I don't have cable. So,
yeah.
but I'll have to go and see how I can
Well,
view
the
it.
way you can see it is there because um, Peacock owns Comedy Central thanks to Trump's deal with Paramount.
Well, look, Paramount paid.
Paramount, yeah,
They paid.
60,
Um,
um,
no,
60 billion.
well, no, I'm talking about South Park. They paid South Park, which is
A
his
hundred,
own independent production,
right,
$1.4 billion.
right, exactly, because it's so popular, and so
Right.
what's interesting about South Park is that it got its start 27 years ago. The guys who created it, they did a short animation as a Christmas gift. So they sent to a lot of people with Jesus and Santa Claus getting into a fight over Christmas and who was the best, who was the king of Christmas, basically. And Santa Claus
Hmm.
beat out Jesus Christ at the end. But anyway, they that crazy, um, just sacrilegious little short got them the series, and for 27 years they just uh, they just do all kind of wild stuff that nobody else is brave enough to do.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I want to turn to this. Did you see this thing about? Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Okay.
Um, uh, I I saw it and I think I flagged it because I wanted to. Let me see if I can pull it. Okay, here it is. Ah, you see this group they're trying to expand this whites only community, plotting to expand
Right.
to another state.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is we. Much of this is a white supremacy drive, and so
Right.
this is one of the things they're doing. That when they talk about when Trump talks about making America great again, he really means make America white again. Uh, give the power back to white folks. I mean, if you look at the DEI that they're attacking, um, that's another word or phrase for anti civil rights,
Right.
anti
Right.
affirmative action.
Even though the DEI completely disproportionately benefited white women
Right,
and other groups more so than black groups. There are some people who are completely um, misinformed as it relates to DEI being, for black folks.
right,
Um, that some black people happen to have benefited from it, but disproportionately white women
Yeah,
benefited from DEI
yeah. They put a
than
black
black
face on.
folks.
Yeah, they put a black face on,
Right,
and
right.
all the and
Well, it
they
was the weapon. It was the weapon for Trump. It was
right,
the the weapon for Trump to use it as a race card.
right, exactly. And I mean, and it's so bad now. I mean, they just have gone. The thing is, they've overplayed their hands. So um, the chickens will be come home to roost. Uh, no, next year during the midterms.
No, I really believe that uh, all of the carnage that we are seeing being um, played out by some people who are so desperate at the uh, their nationalist attempt to quote unquote save whiteness,
Right.
to save whiteness, um, that it is going to end up, uh, I think it's going to end up exploding and like a volcano,
Yeah.
um, that is going to have serious consequences of for them.
Well, hopefully politically, not where some of them want a race war. So, I mean, some of them are hoping and planning on a race war, and we don't
Yeah,
want that.
I don't think that that's going to happen. I think what we're seeing happening. I think what we're seeing happening even now with the protest
Yeah.
that against Trump, that black folks are basically saying to white folks that voted for this, um, and that look, hey, this is your mess. You clean it up, but you're going to have to take you're going to take a front seat. We'll be there, but you have to take the brunt of this, and you're going to have to because it's you did it. 53% of your of white women did it. 39% of Hispanic men um, voted for this.
Yeah.
So, and of course,
And yet the man
not
is
enough of
full.
our people yeah, not enough of our people went out. Now, I am still, and I'm never going to let him off the hook.
Yeah.
Cornell West.
Yeah.
I think that Cornell
Right.
West has has completely discredited himself as being the quote unquote voice of consciousness, um, because I believe that Cornell West played a role in not stealing votes, because not so much a stealing vote, but in discouraging people not to go and vote.
Right.
That
Who
it
would have
played
voted
a role,
for? Yeah. Who would have voted for Kamala? Yeah.
or would have gone out and vote. So look, I agree. I agree that we, those of us who we should hold the Democratic Party accountable because the Democratic Party is out of touch. There's no question about that. The Democratic Party itself is a bit out of touch.
Right.
Now, it is the only alternative for us. We don't. The Republicans are not an option for us.
No.
They're not an option for us. Um, Now, what I believe that what Cornell West should have done is he should have gone to the campaign, and he should have gone on the circuit with the campaign, but he should have gone to and challenged the campaign that listen, these are the things that we have serious concerns with, and that I have serious concerns with. I'm going to support this campaign, but I'm also challenging you that to get my support, these things have to be addressed. That is the way that you do it. You infiltrate
Well,
the system.
from, from what I observed, and I covered some of the Obama campaign back in 2008, 7,
Mhm.
2007. went to the primary in New Hampshire and in South Carolina. I was on the Obama press bus. I was working.
Okay.
I was reporting for the Baltimore Afro American, uh, and at that time, Cornell was a supporter of Obama. So what happened was he didn't get invited to the White House after Obama won, and so that's when he started showing up on Tavis Smiley's show, and every week they would badmouth Obama, and so he couldn't get back in the under the tent because he he took up the position that you're critical of now. So that's the history.
Well, I'm not being critical. I'm not being critical of it, and I think I think that there was a problem that we had during the Obama administration where, um, you know, because I criticize a policy does not mean that I am against the person
Yeah,
or that I am against um, the party that I belong to. That's no different than here in Chicago.
yeah,
Um, I criticize a policy,
yeah,
um, but that doesn't mean that I'm against Brandon Johnson.
yeah.
Now, I have some
But
serious
but
issues with Brandon
right, but the
Johnson.
difference is you are a reasonable and secure man, and not petty. So you could do that. But if you were unreasonable and petty and jealous, then you would be taking that position. You'd be throwing
So is this
bombs.
what are you saying that this was what Tavis Smiley
Yeah.
uh, and that
Oh,
and
Tavis
that
was
group?
upset. Tavis was upset with Obama because every year Tavis would have this summit.
Yeah,
He had decided he was a kingmaker, and that
yeah, the
all the
state of
black
Black America.
exactly, and
Yeah,
Obama didn't go. Obama,
I don't
Obama
blame him. I don't blame
right,
him. He should
and
have
so
gone because all it was, yeah, it was a big stage for them to propagate themselves.
right, exactly. And Obama said, "I'm bigger than that," and so he didn't go. And so Tavis got pissed off about that, and that's when he started attacking Obama. And when Obama won, neither of them got invited to the White House. And so week in, because I used to listen to his radio show, not regularly, but frequently enough, where I would listen to them, the two of them tag teaming Obama, criticizing
Right.
everything he did. It wasn't a policy; it was Obama that
Hmm.
they were upset because he hadn't been a need to them. They imagined that they got it backwards. Obama
Well,
was not them.
this is the problem that I have with especially people who have these large platforms like Tavis Smiley and
Yeah,
Cornell West, who could be a force for good to really make some things productively happen for for Black communities or
right,
for the Black community, but because they are so self-absorbed that they make uh, the work about themselves rather than about the people that they're supposed to be serving.
right,
I was very critical of Tavis and that whole charade of the state of Black America that
right,
didn't move the needle one iota.
right.
Rather than using that to organize Black people, they used it to, I don't know, make money, raise money, whatever,
And so,
and to get out and to just, yeah, to bloviate
yeah,
about themselves. No
right,
conditions, nothing came from it.
right, right. You're right
Yeah,
about that. Yeah. So anyway, that's why Tavis, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that's why Tavis was running for president. He had about as much a chance of
Not Tavis, you mean
getting.
Cornell.
I mean, sorry, Cornell. Yeah, exactly. It's Cornell. Cornell had about as much a chance of getting the, nominated on the, for president as you and I had, and we
Right,
weren't
right,
running.
right, right. But he was in a position. He was in a position to use the platform that he had to address serious issues with the campaign. Period.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, to take the position that he took, uh, in my never to be humble opinion about this, was unconscionable. It was unconscionable for somebody who knows better, who absolutely knows better, socially, politically, who understands it, and the political science of it. So this is not somebody who was devoid of information. This was just an unconscionable, self-absorbed, self-centered act of
right.
somebody who professes to be a follower of Christ, for which I am. And so for somebody to subscribe to that, but then to take the position that he took to support Satan, in effect, um, is hypocrisy.
Yes, yes.
Uh, yeah. So, and I'm never going to let him off the hook. I'm never going to let him off the hook for it.
I
Um,
don't think he's an issue anymore. I think he's been relegated to the uh, junk pile of has been, but
yeah.
doesn't
Well,
matter
uh,
anymore.
every time that I see him on social media or I see somebody trying to pump him up as the voice of consciousness, I put a comment in the comments to remind him of the unconscionable act that he did, because I believe that whatever because the margins were so small, right? The margins were so small that his impact was significant in the outcome of this election.
Yes,
Not about votes that he
I
got.
haven't looked into that. How much, how many votes he actually got that would have gone to Biden. I haven't looked into that because there were a lot of problems with that uh, campaign, the situation. It was
Which
unfortunate.
speaks to even more so that there were a lot of problems with the campaign, but it was such a narrow win for the
Yeah,
other side.
yeah,
It was such a narrow win for the other side. Every little bit that played a role, I think that it was significant.
yeah, yeah,
It was like the Green Party in the Hillary Clinton campaign, right?
yeah.
What was the woman's name there? I forget her name, but I think that she was a spoiler for
Right,
that,
right,
in that election.
right,
So
right.
you don't have to take a large chunk; you just take the difference.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're in a new my theory right now is that Trump is already a lame duck president.
Well,
He,
you said,
he,
look, several months ago, you said by July that he is going to probably be a lame dunk. He's
yeah,
he's he's stepping in quicksand. Every step he takes,
yeah,
he
right.
steps in
Well,
quicksand.
I said July 4. So I'm 3 weeks past the thing, but I'm there. We're there. So I'm right, but I wasn't. I said by July 4, and
Okay, well, I
he
think I,
already
I think he,
received
he
what is
he
losing
signed the
power.
bill, right?
Yeah,
He signed the bill, the big bloated bill, which
yeah,
we didn't talk about.
yeah,
And I want to talk about that just before you leave. Um, he signed the bill, and I think almost immediately this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing just tanked whatever mileage that he was getting
Well,
from the
except
signing of his.
the bill is now law, so we will be feeling the impact of it. Some
Yes,
people already are, so that's law. But what part of the plan was to start lying about the bill and how it was
yes,
been an advantage to um, people that is hurting, poor people, middle working class people, etc. I mean, he's going to do his magic and tell his lies and keep repeating them to where the lies became the truth.
yeah,
However,
like the whole
Epstein
tax
hit.
on tips,
Yeah, right, exactly. But
right?
Epstein hit, and so he can't. He's very frustrated because he can't lie to us about the big beautiful bill and all the things it's supposed to be doing, because he has to lie about Epstein instead. And it's harder to lie about Epstein because it is bipartisan. The the far right and the left both hate the bill. I mean, want Epstein to the file released, so we'll know the truth on what happened there. And so they're pushing for that. And Trump is saying, "Well, look how great I am. I got a deal with Japan. Look at what I'm doing here." That's what we're going to be talking about. And for the last 3 weeks, it's been Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be further. Even
Right,
in learning and learning some parts about the bill, the whole no tax on tips, and that you're going to get a chance to keep 100% of your tax. Well, it turns out that that's not exactly true.
right,
It turns out that Social Security is still in the in the income tax policy. Social Security is in the income tax policy. So is our overtime, and so is tips. Here, watch this clip. Here's a clip of the congressman that is talking to one of the legislative aides about what's actually in the bill.
Okay, on tips, the president has said your tips will be 100% yours. Does this tax bill continue the payroll tax on people's tips?
Yes, it does, Mr.
Overtime, the president said your overtime will be tax-free. Does this bill continue the payroll tax on overtime?
It does not exempt overtime from the payroll tax.
The president has said he's going to remove taxes on Social Security. Does this bill remove taxes on Social Security benefits?
The legislation provides an increased exemption amount.
But does it remove taxes on Social Security benefits as promised by the
It
president?
does not.
So, that's why I said to you, we really have to get into these nuances where people have bought into this, right?
right,
They think
right.
that they're actually getting something, and they sold this on this idea. This idea, even though, let's say that the that it were actually worked the way that they said it works, or that it doesn't.
Right.
That the people who get tips, that they get to keep. The people who get tips only make up about 2% of the entire workforce,
Right. Right.
right? So we're not talking about some vast number of people, and the people in that workforce, for the most part, are very transient. It's not permanent work for them. I mean, you have some people
Well,
who work in
it is for some of the some waitresses do that for the rest of their lives. It
sure.
will help them, but um, it's going to help rich people more,
Well, of
because what they're
course.
going to do is they're going to take money from the stock or wherever they made it from and call it a tip on their tax reform.
Right.
And their tip is going to be a lot bigger than any waitress at any restaurant.
Well, of course. Well, of course.
Right.
When you talk about and then you have this I saw this and I wanted to show. Now this was a great chart to show who the actual winners and losers are in this bill, because you still have some people that I'm not sure if it's I guess the only way that I can refer to it is it's the Jim Jones effects, because I'm talking about people who are supposed to be people who are learned, people who are supposed to be somewhat informed, that have bought into this.
Yeah.
So, but here is an economist who kind of breaks down who the real winners.
You're also looking at income inequality. How will that be impacted?
Yeah, so let's talk about two ways in which many Americans are going to be affected. The first one is Medicaid. We've talked a lot about Medicaid. The Senate version actually increased the amount of Medicaid cuts from $760 billion to $841 billion. The consequences is that something around 11 million people are projected to lose their Medicaid over the coming decade. And so after Obamacare was passed, the Affordable Care Act, we did a really great job of reducing the uninsured population in this country. And this is going to send it halfway back to where we were. I do not know of an example in history where we have instituted a major social benefit like Obamacare, ACA, whatever you want to call it, Medicaid, and then rolled it back so much. This is unprecedented in our history. We've always moved forward, not backwards. Now, if you remember one thing from what I'm saying today, remember what's on this chart, because we've talked a lot about how it helps the rich, hurts the poor. Let's just put some numbers around that. If you're in the top 20% of the country, you're going to get an average $6,000 benefit. These green arrows are what you get from tax cuts. The red arrow is what you lose from some of the spending cuts. But these people at the very top are going to get a 2.3% increase in their after-tax income and benefits and what they get from the government, essentially. If you go down here to the bottom 20%, what do you see? These people are actually going to be worse off. They get a very small tax cut, but it is completely wildly offset. But what they lose from Medicaid cuts, from food stamp cuts, from other cuts, and so they end up actually $560 worse off, minus 2.3%. And again, I would say in 50 years of watching economic policy, I have never seen a package that was so regressive, that did so much to take money from the poor, give it to the rich, and take it away from the poor. This is unprecedented in our history. It is the most amazing piece of social legislation in the wrong direction that we have ever seen.
There you go.
Right.
That was probably about one of the best short, concise pictures of how disproportionate this is of taking from of the poor to finance.
It's also known as the reverse Robin Hood.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that it's far worse than the reverse. It's a reverse Robin Hood on steroids.
Yeah.
Which is also why he's pushing these tariffs, right? He's pushing these tariffs so that the companies are going to have to go out and borrow the money, pay the tariffs up front. They pay the tariffs. So the government is taking in the tariff so that they can help to offset and finance these tax cuts. While you're taking from people who certainly are going to need these resources, but you're going to further take from them because eventually it's going to start to catch up. Because these companies, some of them, if not all of them, are going to start increasing the cost of goods that we buy.
Yeah, because they have to, or
Well,
otherwise their profit margin will be completely
listen,
erased.
it's impacting me right now. I had to go out and purchase um, wiring for a building that I'm doing. A
Yeah,
spool of the wire that I just purchased is $120. That was $80
yeah,
just a few weeks ago. It's now
right,
$120.
right. And so
So,
that means that the building you're building now, you're working on, is going to be cost whoever wants to rent it or buy it. They're going to have to pay more money to pay for the expenses that you had to do. See,
well, unfortunately,
yeah,
well, unfortunately,
yeah,
unfortunately, that it depends. If I were in, a place called like Lincoln Park, where this
uh,
building was, you know, you would be able to offset that cost because you would be able to get those additional dollars in terms of the sell. But
yeah,
because of the community where I am,
yeah,
you know, I, I'm just not going to realize because I'm not going to be able to push the price higher because the market is what the market is. But I'm just saying, not in all costs, not in all costs, but I'm seeing that in some of the building costs, the costs have gone up. And my electrician gave me a quote and said, "Look, um, the cost of material is higher," and he and I had to come to um, uh, an agreement and split the difference.
yeah,
I wasn't going
right,
to absorb all of it, but I
right,
understand, that's where it is. So to be fair about it, but the point that I'm making is that we are going to be paying that tax, which is what it is,
yeah,
so that Trump can finance and pay for this tax cuts. That's what these tariffs are about. It's not about trying to resolve problems for
well, we
people.
don't. It's 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 a tax cut for billionaires and corporations. Uh,
Yes,
People and entities that don't need the tax cut. In the
right.
meantime, um, food stamp SNAP is called. It's fewer people are going to be on that. Medicaid is going to people are going to get kicked off of that. What has been called Obamacare? A lot of people are going to get kicked off of that because their budgets got cut to facilitate this tax cut to the rich.
Yeah, well, the federal subsidies won't be there anymore, and they won't be able to afford their premiums, so they're going to have to drop their premiums.
Right, right. So, okay,
It's
well, yeah. Um, in a couple of weeks, when I'm back again, I think we'll be seeing these things um, in action. Because I mean, there's been a little of it already, but within a couple of weeks, there's a whole bunch of people going to be familiar with it. And we'll be able to talk in detail about it. I hope. I think.
Well, I'm sure we will. We will certainly be able to do that. I'm going to be talking about, and I'm continuing this conversation. I know that you won't be here with me this week, but I also want I want to send you some information
Okay.
because I am going to continuously drive the hammer so that people understand the difference between the Cook County Assessor's Office and the Board of Review. The
Oh
Board of
yeah.
Review, that little innocuous office that nobody pays attention to, is
Right.
the office that's really responsible for our taxes, which is an invisible tax of shifting
Right.
$4.5 billion in tax cuts that they have given to the people downtown that shifted on homeowners. So you are paying probably somewhere between 5 and 7% more on your taxes
Yeah.
purely to subsidize somebody's taxes downtown. And what happens is that for years, the Board of Review has gotten away with it, and we have been throwing stones at the assessor, which is what they're trying to do now, is to throw it at the assessor, when in fact it's not the assessor, it's the Board of Review. And I am going to drive it home. Larry Rogers Jr. and George Cardenas are the two culprits that are bought and paid for by the tax appeal attorneys so that they can get their tax cuts.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So
we have to put that on the agenda for a couple of weeks because it's not. It's going to be happening. It's not like it's going to go away.
No, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right.
Okay. All right. So
Monroe, and
it was good being with you, and I look forward to it a couple of weeks from now.
we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, Mark.
All right, folks. Monroe Anderson with us from Monroe Monday. So what I said I was going to talk to you all about, I'm going to talk to you all about it, but there are still a few clips that I want you to see. And we had invited Ben Crump to come on to talk with us about the young man in Florida that was attacked by the police officer that was stopped on a traffic stop. And isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that when Black men are stopped on a traffic stop, that it is escalated to violence by the police? Now, the sheriff of this town in Florida that punched this young man. Now, let me kind of set this up to help you to understand, because I'm from Miami, Florida, and many of you may not understand what happens in Central Florida. And as you move on up, when you move beyond places like Fort Lauderdale, and you start to go up the coast, and you're going up to other parts of Florida, there are some parts of Florida that are still stuck back in the 40s and the 50s as a result of how it treats Black people. Now, even though the sheriff of this county is Black, and here, the first time that I saw this clip, I said, I wonder who the mayor is of that particular town. I want you to take a look at this exchange between a Black reporter and the sheriff when he speaks about this. Now, this incident, I believe, took place in March or April or something like this, and the young man is dealing with it now with Ben Crump. And of course, people want to talk about, well, why didn't you bring it forth back then, and why you're bringing it now, as though because it didn't happen back then that we shouldn't be dealing with it now. But take a look at this.
What I don't understand is, and I know you said that this was not ruled criminal, sucker punching the guy in the jaw.
First of all, let me stop you. Not a sucker punch.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle!
I'm not excusing that administratively.
All right, so now I'm going to come back to the clip, but let's see, a sucker punch, as you and I know it, is that somebody who punches you off guard. Now, I want you to take a look at this and you tell me how it is the sheriff can justify this as not being a sucker punch.
But what I don't understand is, and I know you said that this was not ruled criminal, sucker punching the guy in the jaw.
First of all, let me stop you. Not a sucker punch.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle.
I'm not excusing that administratively. I'm going to say that to you one more time. I'm not excusing that administratively. There are things that we definitely need to look at. But the context of this video should tell you everything you need to know.
Well, again, it looks like it's a sucker punch because he's looking straight and you see this.
Right.
Okay, and then you see them pull him out and
Yep.
you see a couple of punches to the face. Now, again, I understand breaking the window, but he charged him with resisting arrest without violence. So I saw a lot of violence. I think the public saw a lot of
Well,
violence.
first of all, Eric, don't try to talk the public into what they saw. They just saw the same video as you saw. So what we're doing, what I'm saying is that it is what it is. This is the information that I want to share with the public in context without a short clip. It's very important to do that because it provides a lot of information to the public.
And you brought up the
It's important, let me finish. It's important for the people to know that you're not allowed to resist a police officer when he's doing his lawful duties. It's been dealt with in several different times. You don't resist when you're doing your lawful duties. You don't deserve to get violated, but you deserve to get what's necessary to get you under control and get you and take you into custody.
The allegation that McNeil had reached down for the knife, that was in the police report.
Where'd you see, what police report did you see that in?
In the arrest report for McNeil, that was stated that the officer saw him, reach for the knife that was on the floorboard. The video that was posted to social media, and even in there, did you see that when you're watching?
No, actually, I don't see where his hands are.
It's pretty astonishing to me. It's pretty astonishing to me that, but it's also revealing. Yes, it's astonishing, but it is also revealing. And we should never adjust to these abnormalities. And I think that it is even more sickening that it is, forget about being a sheriff, but they're in Jacksonville. And I forgot the population of the Black community there in Jacksonville. I have some in-laws that live in Jacksonville. But Jacksonville is not a friendly place for Black folks. I think that the population there in Jacksonville, I have to look it up, what the demographic makeup in Jacksonville is. I just want to look it up here. Let's see. Let me pull it up on my. The ethnic makeup of Jacksonville, Florida. Because that's where this took place. Let's see. Okay, so the racial composition of Jacksonville includes 51.23% white, 30% Black. Has really increased. African American. 51% white, 30% Black, 5% Asian, and 4% other. So the population there certainly has increased there in Jacksonville. But to see that you have a police officer who is trying to tell a reporter and trying to say to the black community that your lying eyes don't see what your lying eyes see. Now, the violence, first of all, this was somebody this was a traffic stop. It was a traffic stop, and the young man asked for them to contact their supervisor. Asked for them to contact their supervisor. So they violated protocols so that, because when you ask for a supervisor on a traffic stop, they are to go back to their vehicles, retreat back, call their supervisor, and wait for their supervisor to come on the scene. What they basically did was ignored what he says. Now, if you listen to one of the police officers who is talking about contacting the supervisor.
And I know you said that this was not ruled criminal, sucker punching the guy in the jaw.
First of all, let me stop you. Not a sucker punch.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle.
I'm not excusing that administratively. I'm going to say that to you one more time. I'm not excusing that administratively. There are things that we definitely need to look at. But the context of this video should tell you everything you need to know.
Well, again, it looks like it's a sucker punch because he's looking straight and you see this.
Right.
Okay, and then you see them pull him out and then you see a couple of punches to the face. Now, again, I understand breaking the window, but he charged him with resisting arrest without violence. So I saw a lot of violence. I think the public saw a lot of violence.
Well, first of all, Eric, don't try to talk the public into what they saw. They just saw the same videos you saw. So what we're doing, what I'm saying is that it is what it is. This is the information that I want to share with the public in context without a short clip. It's very important to do that because it provides a lot of information to the public.
And you brought up
it's important, let me finish. It's important for the people to know that you're not allowed to resist a police officer when he's doing his lawful duties. It's been dealt with in several different times. You don't resist when you're doing your lawful duties. You don't deserve to get violated, but you deserve to get what's necessary to get you under control and get you and take you into custody.
The allegation that McNeil had reached down for the knife, that was in the police report.
Where'd you see? What police report did you see that in?
In the arrest report for McNeil, that was stated that the officer saw him, reach for the knife that was on the floorboard. The video that was posted to social media, and even in there, did you see that when you're watching?
No, actually, I don't see where his hands are.
The video tells you everything that you need to know. Well, he's right about that. The video does tell us everything that we need to know. It shows us everything that we need to know. And this sheriff is disgustingly complicit with police officers that are out of control in Jacksonville, in Florida, where it is not uncommon for police officers to engage in this kind of activity. Now, he also said that you are not allowed to resist police officers when they are trying to get you in control. And where was he resisting? Even when they took him out of the car, he didn't resist when they unbuckled his seat buckle. He didn't resist when they snatched him out of the car and started punching him in the face and throwing him down on the ground. So where was the resistance? This just brings me to back here to Chicago, where we have this kind of sanction type behavior. And I think that this is connected to a broader situation, and certainly connected to the Trump administration, where it is basically sanctioned police officers to take whatever steps that they can take because they're going to be protected. So I think that certainly is resonating with people across the board. But in here in Chicago, where you have the Cook County State's Attorney that's empowering police officers in a distrusted police department of the Chicago Police Department that has a terrible track record of being um, the leading city with the most documented wrongful conviction, for which we have, I believe it's 270 some odd cases of police misconduct settlement cases that still have to be settled. 275 that still have to be settled. And God knows what that is going to look like in terms of what those amounts are going to, but that they're going to be. So, but we're gonna try to get Ben Crump to come on to talk with us about this. And I said to you last week that we may start doing some shorter videos on certain segments and posting them. We'll be doing them live, but we'll also post them. Of course, Monday night is our regular Monday night live program on intellectualradio.com, which we are here every Monday night from 7 o'clock until 9. And we certainly are grateful for having this platform on Intellectual Radio. Intellectual Radio is doing a phenomenal service to our community that gives us the opportunity to inform and to engage in our community unrestricted. And so we are certainly grateful for that. And so we certainly thank the proprietors and allowing for Earl Winfrey and Wanda B, two people who I admire greatly. They're also extremely funny at times. I saw Earl's video that he did a couple days ago. I wish I had caught him live, but he was talking about how some of the shows who they prefer to be their technical producers and that sort of thing. And so, hey, so it was quite a funny exchange listening to him, but certainly appreciate that. Anyway, so I want to talk to you a little bit about Larry Rogers Jr. Larry Rogers Jr., who is a commissioner on the Board of Review. The Board of Review is the quasi judicial office, or I should say quasi appellate office, for which property owners can appeal to the Board of Review when they have appealed to the assessor's office, and the assessor may deny their appeal for reduction, and they go and they appeal to the Board of Review. the tax appeal attorney goes to the board of review and appeals to the board of review. The board of review is made up of 3 commissioners: Samantha Steele, George Cardenas, and Larry Rogers Jr. Larry Rogers Jr. has been on the commission since I think about 1994. George Cardenas was a former alderperson and is serving on the board of review, and Samantha Steele also. They vote on each of these appeals. Now, George Cardenas and Larry Rogers Jr. are in lockstep with each other. So Samantha Steele really doesn't have any real power. We tried very hard to get someone to elect someone in the last election cycle, and but because we were not successful, and I think we were not successful because there are still a lot of people who do not understand that Larry Rogers Jr. is not a friend of homeowners. Neither is George Cardenas. They are completely bought and paid for by the wealthy property owners and the tax appeal attorneys that go and appeal their taxes. And I'm talking about the wealthy property owners downtown. So I'm going to try to see if I can pull up the information. So I want to see if in fact I can pull this slide up. Let's see if I can pull this up. I want to see if I can pull it up because I want to show you this graph. All right. Okay. I want to see if I can show you this graph. All right. So what you are looking at here, all right, this is the percent change to the tax base by the Board of Review in Illinois. All right. So let me just pull up the information on this. Now you see the collar counties, and then you see all of the other Illinois Board of Review, and then you see the Cook County Board of Review. And this is where in 2023, in these reports, no other Board of Review around the country have we seen these kinds of changes. So what you're looking at, is the percent change to the tax base by the Board of Review. This is done by Larry Rogers Jr. and George Cardenas. All right. And in this report, so the report says, here's what the report says, that if it had been the whole story, the property tax bills for both commercial and residential properties should, well, let me go back. Let me go back a little bit. So that you look at this report. So after the assessor's office completed its assessments and appeals, commercial properties had increased by 39% in value, while residential properties rose 36%. This meant that homeowners' tax bills should have either held steady or, in fact, ever even gone down as homeowners' share of the total assessed value decreased by 1 percentage point from 68% to 67%. The property tax bills for both commercial and residential properties should have risen roughly in line with the levies of the various taxing bodies, which is the taxing bodies such as your schools and your municipality. So what they determine is what it is that it is going to cost to operate the schools and what it's going to cost to operate the government, and then they divide that amongst the property owners in that village so that you can pay your percentage in order for them to meet their budgets for their tax levy. So that's what that means. But residential and commercial tax bills strongly diverged. According to the Cook County Treasurer, the typical residential bill was up by 20%, while the typical commercial tax bill was down by 8.5%. What happened? After the changes made by the local appellate body, that's the Cook County Board of Review, homeowners carried a greater share of the property tax burden that they started with for the third straight year. So in 2023, the Board of Review cut commercial assessed values by nearly $1 billion, or 18%. They cut the assessed values, again, by $1 billion or 18%, after it had already been assessed that commercial properties had increased by 39%. They cut residential values by only $150 million, by 1%. So they cut $1 billion for commercial and only $150 million for residential. The lopsided pattern, where commercial properties represented 87% of the total assessed value, reduced on appeal at the Board of Review, shifted 4 percentage points on to the South Triads. That means in the southern suburbs, $4.5 billion of a tax burden onto homeowners in the South Triad. That's the South Side and the southern suburbs. So your taxes, where you see your tax have increased, even though your tax rates with the Cook County assessors are the same, or may have increased a little bit based on the levy from your particular village, you are still picking up your pro rata share, is what that is. Because what they do is that they distribute that $4.5 billion, which is the replay of what was reported on the last year's North Suburban Reassessment Report. Then the Board of Review cut commercial assessed values on the north spectrum by 20%, shifting 5 percentage points of property tax burdens onto homeowners. These homeowners saw their tax bills increase while many commercial bills fail. This is what you're looking at. So the jurisdictions where changes of these magnitudes take place during the appeals process in Illinois, certainly Cook County is alone on the seesaw of shifting property values. As the chart shows you that you're looking at now, which I'm showing you now, shows the tax base in Cook County changed by more than 6% after the Board of Review's decision. The median in the rest of Illinois is 0.1%. Where these deep cuts were not merited in the last year's report, it was noted that about the need for comprehensive study comparing assessments from the Cook County Assessor's Office and the Board of Review to actual sales. The Cook County Assessor's Office report that such study now exists. The study was commissioned by the Cook County Property Tax Reform Group, convened by President Tony Pretwinkle and made up of the leaders of the Assessor's Office, the Board of Review, the county clerk, and the treasurer. It looked at 2021 to 2023 sales of commercial properties, excluding large apartment buildings, and compared them to the assessments established by the Assessor's Office and changed by the Board of Review between 2020 and 2022. A future study will evaluate the 2023 reassessment, which was covered in the report. Now, here's the point. The point is this. Very simply put, and I am going to continue to bring this information to us so that you understand what is happening with your taxes. When you look at your tax rates on your property taxes, your tax rates are roughly in line. Now, there is always going to be an adjustment, but in this period, taxes should have held steady or certainly should have gone down for homeowners, but they did not. And the reason why they did not go down is because $4.5 billion that Larry Rogers Jr. and George Cardenas allowed for property tax appeal attorneys to come in and to under-assess value the real estate for the time that they own it, and then they get to sell it off for the actual value when they sell it. But you and I and all of the other homeowners subsidize their taxes to increase their yield profits while they own the property until they sell it. So we are subsidizing their taxes, paying for their steak dinners, and you don't get a slice of the steak. Sending their families out for steak dinners, but you pay the bill. That's precisely what is going on. Larry Rogers Jr., who was bought and paid for by the tax appeal attorneys, who comes out to your communities, comes out to your churches, comes out to your village communities, and have these dog and pony shows where they are telling you how you can appeal your property taxes. You just heard me say that they only cut residential assessed valuations by $150 million, $150 million, but they gave $1 billion to commercial properties that values increased by 39%. That's what Larry Rogers Jr. and George Cardenas continuously do. Why? Now, how they bought and paid for? Larry Rogers Jr. has a very thriving personal injury law firm, law practice. Larry Rogers Jr. changed the rules and said that if you want to appeal your property taxes and you have your property that is a commercial property, you have to retain a tax appeal attorney. These are Larry Rogers rules that he's changed at the Board of Review. The tax appeal attorneys contribute more than $1 million into the campaign coffers of Larry Rogers Jr. alone. Not to mention what they give to George Cardenas. But Larry Rogers Jr., not only is Larry Rogers Jr. benefiting from these campaign contributions, but they are also referring cases to Larry Rogers Jr.'s office, for which he makes a lot of money on these settlements, on these cases that he represents. This is how this cabal operates. But I, for one, am not going to allow for Larry Rogers Jr. to continue to get away with this without being exposed. So, and I don't want for you as homeowners, as taxpayers, to completely misunderstand where this is coming from. So you now have the Democratic Party, the local Democratic Party, who did not endorse Fritz Kagi. And I said that I said to Fritz that he should wear it with a badge of honor. He should wear it with a badge of honor, because you can now go out and speak directly to the people. Speak directly to the people who you have been working for, to share with the people exactly what you have been doing and exactly what's going on. So now, with the Democratic Party in Illinois, I'm sorry, well, I guess the Democratic Party in Illinois, as well as the Democratic Party here in Chicago and Cook County. So they did not endorse Fritz Kagi, but they endorsed Tom Hines' son, I believe it was. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see. Let me see if I can find that before we go. Well, it actually shows why the Democratic Party, there's a problem with our Democratic Party here, and that we have to hold our Democratic Party to account here. We're going to be talking about this, more of this. I'm going to be talking about this, sharing more information with you about it, informing and educating us about it, explaining it, and absolutely inspiring for us to organize ourselves together. We have got to organize ourselves together so that we can fight back and we can put people in place and support people who are working on the behest of we the people. That is why it is so important for us to build our own independent bloc, so that we the people can be the threat that we need to be, to send the people like Larry Rogers Jr., who happens to be a black man, but it doesn't mean that he's a friend to our community. He is not politically. He is not a friend to our community. Don't get, continue to be fooled by this choir boy appearance that he likes to present. while he comes in and gives you a dog and pony show, and then he's increasing your property taxes by giving tax cut to the wealthy who happen to be supporting his campaign and referring cases to him. So they now want to shift the blame off onto Fritz Kagi. That's not where the blame is. That's not where it is happening. Because if you look at your tax bills, your tax rates are the same, but your taxes are going up. Your taxes are going up. Why are your taxes going up? Is because you're paying and subsidizing somebody else's tax cuts. That's what it is. When you look at your tax bills and you see that your tax rates are the same, and in some cases may have gone down, but your tax bill has going up because you are paying the difference. Or not the difference, but the difference is that you're paying your pro rata share of somebody else's tax cuts. So on average, if your property is in the city of Chicago and you have a property that's worth $250,000 to say $450,000 or $500,000, you are paying an average of about $1,200 more a year to subsidize the tax cuts for wealthy property owners downtown. If you're in the suburbs, you're probably paying 15 to 20% more to subsidize tax cuts of wealthy property owners downtown. I'm going to be bringing you much more of this information every week so that you can share this information with other people about it, because I'm sure that most of you, like me, I've been in real estate for 40 years. When I started working with the Kagi campaign and I started to learning about what goes on in that little tiny innocuous office that none of us paid any attention for, but we just happened to vote for, who they told us to vote for, which was Larry Rogers Jr. So, that's who we voted for. Not understanding what this person was doing to our communities. All right, listen, that is going to do it for me tonight. I've got some other clips, and I'm probably going to, you can look for some other videos that I may be doing this week. But I will certainly be putting that information out to you. But I want to certainly thank all of you for tuning in and being with us here tonight on intellectualradio.com. Make sure that you tune in with us, that we are here every Monday night from 7 o'clock until 9 p.m. on intellectualradio.com, iHeartRadio, Facebook, YouTube. Go to my YouTube page. Look for Mark J. Wallace, The People's Show. Please subscribe there and share that with other people so that we could increase strength of our reach and reach more people, certainly in our region. Let's reach people in our region, because we want to make sure that we are empowered with information about what is impacting us. All right, that's going to do it for me tonight. I want to thank you all for joining me. I want to thank my guest, Monroe Anderson, for coming on for Monroe Mondays, and all of you who tune in to the Monday night edition of The People Show on intellectualradio.com.